Welcome to where the screen door slams and the coffee mug hits the table. You're listening to The Family Balancing Act with me, Maureen Huntley, mom, grandmother, and board-certified holistic and functional medicine health coach. Each episode will explore the realities of your day-to-day family life in this modern era of nonstop texts, memes, and technology. After all, how do we keep ourselves sane and our family healthy? I'll have amazing guests and thought-provoking discussions, and we'll take a holistic look at family health, emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual. Whether it's a micro perspective of family involving healthy snacks, teenagers with an attitude, stressed out husbands, partners, adult children, potty training, elder care, grandchildren, college prep, or a macro perspective of world events, including flu, earthquakes, the brainwashing media, finances, and oh, so much more. We'll find a way together. So take a deep breath, exhale, and know that you're not alone. Bring on the Family Balancing Act. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Family Balancing Act, where we are restoring the heart of motherhood, one conversation at a time. If you've been here with us before, welcome back. And if this is your first time visiting, welcome. Come right in, pull up a chair and grab a tea or a coffee or green juice, because we have a lot to chat about today with my guest, Lourdes Quintana, mother of three, business owner, health coach, who is living her own family balancing act. I'm Maureen Huntley, and I'm your host. I'm a board-certified integrative and functional medicine health coach. I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, a wife, and CEO of my family's home operations. If you miss any of our episodes, well, you can always find us on multiple podcasts like Apple, Spotify, Google, Podbean, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and CTR Radio, Contact Talk Radio Network, and more. Sign up for my monthly newsletter, and you can grab my free, year-round holiday Stressless tips at maureenhuntley.com, where you can also find out how to work with me. I love what I do. Holistic solutions for health and well-being. So deep breath and release. Keep the peace at all costs. My mother used to say this. Actually, I think her whole family used to say this. Well, definitely the women would. In other words, don't make waves, keep your thoughts to yourself, and do what's right for others. And forget about yourself, because you're strong and faithful. I'm sure it was really because they wanted to do that. And it was because it was ingrained in them. They didn't really want to do that. No, it was passed down through the family line, self-preservation, and then it became mine. It landed at my doorstep of life. I watched it work, and I saw that where there could be a fight or an argument, it could be averted. I could shield myself from the pain if I wasn't engaging. And that's so not true. The fight ended up being an internal one with the true self. This I quickly learned. Hey, as a teenager, I most certainly challenged this, but quickly learned that it was best to let it go. I remember the scene would often play out. My father coming in from a long, hard day, tired, angry, and now wanting to engage in any conversation with anyone. Yet my mother longing to speak to him, his children begging for his attention, and he'd be agitated with short barking statements and stomping away. The sensory overload for all of us was intense. My parents had loads of children in their home, their own children and foster children. It was rather chaotic. My mom would pull us all back out of the situation, packing in her feelings and trying to keep everything nicey nice. And that's when she'd say, keep the peace at all costs. Okay, lesson learned. I got it. Maybe that could have just been handled differently. Oh, forget it. Let's just pretend to be perfect. What I learned and saw was my mother trying to protect her children from the emotions of anger and resentment, almost as though they didn't exist. Nope, not those bad emotions. We'll just ignore them and we'll stay cheerful, happy. Yet as time passed, I went forward into life, got married, had children, and now was doing the very same thing to my children, my family, keeping the peace at all costs, as that scene and other scenes played out. Making excuses for another person's bad behavior does not honor, love, respect, or support your children or yourself. What was I teaching my children? I too thought I was protecting them, no matter what the situation was. I had become my mother, her mother, and probably my father's mother, and her mother before her. This line, this ancestral line. This is something that I've had to do, to face within myself over and over again. Well, in my marriage, yes, but with my children at times, my friendships, my former employees, and even out in public with people I don't even really know. Save face and save everyone else's feelings. I can handle this. I'm strong. So what if I'm a casualty? I'm protecting others. I'm a heroine, right? Wrong. After decades of this, it slowly chips away at one's truth. The shrinking within me is really like full blown. I know this is a big subject for many of us. We all do it in some respects, not using our voices or standing up for ourselves for fear of hurting another's feelings or fear of being yelled at. Or is it a habit? It becomes a way of life. Self-respect must be honored by me, yourself, each one of us first, putting ourselves first. One of the projects that I love doing with my clients, and I also do for myself, is to write out a list of tolerations. Like, what are you tolerating in your life that doesn't work or no longer works for you or your family? Is it the mess in your home? I mean, is it driving you crazy, but you keep tolerating it? Is it the lack of respect or the hanging on to things that you have that no longer serve you or that you need? Objects, people, thoughts. This stuff is indeed a balancing act that never, ever stays in balance. We learn when we're out of balance. We're not supposed to be in balance. We're supposed to be out of balance to get into balance. Ask yourself if you're tolerating negativity, and how does that show up for you? Is it how you're spoken to, or how are your children speaking to you, or how are you speaking to them, or how are loved ones speaking to you, or are you constantly thinking and speaking negatively about yourself or others? How do you tolerate that? How about tolerating how you live, who your friends are, and who your friends are not? Partners, husbands, wives, we tolerate sometimes rather than make a proactive choice for ourselves and for our family and for our health. In every situation, we can be called upon to create and uphold peace, but not at the cost of our integrity, faith, or truth. Use your voice. You need to be heard. It starts with you. You are the starting point to change for everyone's life. Respect and honor yourself with that. So I am so honored today to have Lourdes Quintana joining me here at the Family Balancing Act. Not only is she my good friend, yay, but she is brilliant, resilient, and so full of life and love. Her story is moving, powerful, and empowering, and I can't wait for you to meet her. Welcome, Lourdes.
Hi,
I'm so honored to have you here. Yay!
how are you?
I am good.
So happy to be here with you.
I am so happy you're here, really. You are, Lourdes is such a spark of love and light. And from the moment I met you, I don't know how many years ago now, many years, in Mexico, here in Ixtapa, I just was like, ooh, I want to know her. And then we end up having many collective experiences prior to knowing each other and in knowing each other. So I remember we were at a market and
we were at the market and we were buying things for the kids you sponsored, and at the Casa para Niños program, you first sponsored 2 kids, and we were at the market buying some groceries for their house, for their family, and we visited their home. And it was a very, very nice experience. And there's where I found out that you were an IIM teacher.
and graduate, yes. And I found out you had been a student, and I was like, what? And IIN, I haven't really talked about this much on the show, but it's the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And it was a great place to start to get information around nutrition and health and wellness. And then from there, you blossom into a health coach, you continue your studies, or you use it for yourself and your family.
I did start a new life, so it was really great. Yeah.
I am. So how did you even get to come to Ixtapa, to get into doing the work you did with the niños, with the children? Prior to that, you have a bigger story.
Yes, I did have a divorce 13 years ago, and I know everyone's divorce is difficult. This was a very difficult one because I did separate from my kids, and it was being very painful for me. I have to leave everything back. I have to start a new project, a new life. And then one of my friends asked me to come to Ixtapa to work at the hotel. This is a very good work for me. This was a very good work for me. I came to the hotel. I didn't even knew anyone in Ixtapa. It was very difficult for me because I was separating from all my life. So I started working there at the pastry for 3 months, and I said, oh, I have to start a new life here. So I decided to stay 1 year there, and my boss just let me work with other people in public relations, and I met Casa para Niños. I find out that they have this beautiful project about helping kids that are very needy in Zihuatanejo, and they gave them food, computers, and English. And this is very nice. Some of them, they are in a very extreme poverty, so they can have lunch and food every day. It's incredible. So I fell in love with this project. This was something that really starts to heal me, because it was everything I found out there. It was love, love and love and love. You go to their houses, you meet the families, and they are so loving that this is the thing that starts to heal me. Walking on the beach every day, see the sun, I forget.
Oh, yes, the energy from the sun. And I remember going with you to the homes, and one of the homes, and we saw this young lady who's now growing up, who is our godchild, who's one of the children that we sponsor. We went there first to meet her family, and her family was going through a divorce, also separation, her parents. And you could feel the energy in the home, but the home was really just one room with a couple of curtains, and it was up this massive mountain pass, and where a lot of it was just concrete blocks that were thrown up onto the mountain. And I couldn't even really, I'd never been in a situation like that where I saw the poverty at that level in many ways. And I know that sounds so like thick of me to not, I understand it when I was looking in books. I remember the first time I ever came to Zihuatanejo and drove through on the way to the resort we're staying at, and I was floored by the poverty I saw, by the way people were living, and I felt such overwhelming guilt. But I admire so what you've done in your process through
it's
working with these
incredible
kids.
what you have done with the kids. It's, you can't imagine what this to make them feel that someone else is there for them, to support them. It changes their lives. They feel like I am not alone. There's someone that can support me, even if it's just
Little finance. It's not even much. It's not much.
They are waiting year after year. They are waiting for their sponsors to come and hug them and feel like they are there for them. So it's a beautiful program. And
it fills us up. I tell you, I mean, I'm not feeling like I'm giving anything. I'm getting I get so much love. I get so much, it's such a good feeling. And I can't imagine now not ever having that feeling of
giving is
doing
love.
Yeah.
Giving is love. I feel it's the same when you give everything to someone that really needs it. It makes you feel really, really great, like you are a loving person. And as you said, you are in peace because you are giving wonderful things to them.
And standing in your truth and using your voice to help others, and not shying away or shrinking away.
Another thing that changed my life there in when I was working there in Ixtapa, it was that I decided to change my life, like completely. And I started eating healthy, meditating. There's something that I used to go in Ixtapa. It's the Temazcal. The Temazcal is a sweat lodge, and it's a beautiful thing for healing, because all your body heals, your spirit, your body, your physical body, everything heals. No, I invited you once, and it was a very nice experience. I invite you, when you can, you should do a Temazcal or a sweat lodge, no, where you are.
I think I would only trust it doing it with you, because there, in the United States, there was a problem with one once, or that I heard about once, where they didn't, people were like kind of in there for way too long and, whatever. This is not like that. I'm just making that, what we went through was very grounding, very simple and very easy.
And it is
And
very spiritual.
short. Yeah.
It's not marketing thing. This in Zihuatanejo is very spiritual, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I could feel I felt the energy and the love, and my friend Donna and I came with, and she's never, we talk about the story all the time. She's not I'm more like, oh, let's just do this. Let's just try this. I'll do some wacky thing. And everybody's like, whatever, that's Maureen. And so that's what she was looking at this as. And then she went and did it, and she went in full steam ahead. And I'm the one that kind of backed out. And now I long to do it again, because now I'm not afraid.
I'm going to take you next year.
Next year we're on.
Yes.
We're definitely on for it. So what other self-care things did you need to do from your heavy? It was a very heavy situation for you.
Yeah, it was a very heavy situation, and I have learned a lot by the time I spent meditating, and I have learned to respect people a lot. Now I have learned not to control people, because we are very used to control the things others do. And I have learned to not to judge. I try to do it all the time. Sometimes I find myself judging people, but I try not to judge. I select my friends now that I when I get to a reunion or something, and everybody's talking about people and this kind of thing, I dislike this very much.
Back out of it.
Yes, I try to be a better person every day, better and better. And I think what you just said, what gives me peace is my liberty. I think that when I'm free, I can do a lot of things for myself, respecting myself and being me. This is the time in my life, the best time in my life, that I have been me, and I am not covering myself with anything. I can be myself with anyone. And I said, this is what I just wanted to be. This is how you feel free, you feel loved, no?
Definitely. And I feel that even on the planet right now, there is, I brought this up on other shows, and we are moving from this self-centeredness, and people are starting to push away from the need for stuff and the search for self, and just showing up as ourselves. And I think that that's the best thing that could happen out of this mess, what's ever going on the planet. Yeah. It's just showing up as ourselves. And no matter what anybody else's opinions are, that's their stuff.
Yes.
But to get from judgment, as you say, that's such I love digging deep onto this word judgment, because we all do it. We all know it. We all know it doesn't work. We all know it causes pain either to ourselves or others. But I have found that sometimes it's easy to be judgmental when you're with a group of people that's like, especially I was going to say when we were young. No, it happens like grown women act like they're 14 again, talking about another woman who could be from the group. But there becomes this, can you believe she did that? No, I can't. Oh, how embarrassing. Like this whole theatrical thing. And we all get pulled into it because We want to be a part of the crowd. You want to be accepted. It's so hard to step back and go,
Exactly.
that's not working for me. That's judgment.
See, yeah, and I think even when you are there in a reunion with other women or even with your family, they
Mhm.
start talking about someone else, and you can say, now I can say, hey, why are you talking about this? I think they have their own life, their own situation. So let's not judge what he's doing. Let's try to understand that there's something else in him. So I prefer that we change the subject of the conversation, and then in a lovely way, in with respect, no? And
Mm,
sometimes people stop and say, oh yes, yes, you are
you're
right.
right. Yeah.
Yes. And then let's talk about something good about this person. Or yeah.
Yeah. That would be the way to do it. And that would be a very good trigger to just go, wait a minute, we're all in agreement here that that's not working. This is bad energy. It's negative energy.
Mm.
And and yet I know I have been the instigator in that in my own family with my own children. I might not even mean to, but I'll say something about one of my kids over another kid. Oh, your brother's done this. Can you believe it? Or, he's running late again, or whatever it is. Or he didn't get back. He's not texting us. I know he never texts us. And then we can go into a whole pool of energy around. He never texts us. And then we're all like mad at him. And I might have started it just by saying, no, I haven't gotten a text from him, or I haven't heard from him yet. And it's my attitude and the few words that come out of my mouth, but then everybody's off and running.
Yes.
And how do you pull that back in?
Wow. Yeah. It's difficult, but I think to make things conscious when it's happening, hey, this is what is happening. What are we going to do with this? And it's just like a second thinking, no? You just said, hey, look, we are judging them. We can change the subject or see what's going on. Maybe he is very busy. Maybe he can't do it now. No, he can't text
Mhm.
back now. So let's wait until he texts us. And
For
maybe
me,
he is late now to go out. So maybe he didn't sleep well.
or maybe he just doesn't want to do it. Maybe he doesn't want to text. Maybe
Yeah.
he's done for a while. He needs a break. We all need to pull back. And so, yes, who are we to say what another should do?
I did experience all of this during these difficult years that I was separated from my kids. And as a mother, I was out of control. Why? They are my kids. They have to call me. They have to text me. They have to do this. And it was not easy. It was
Mhm.
years of experience that now I am like I'm now, no? And I said, why they don't call me at all? And I used to text, hey, why aren't you calling me? They didn't answer any. So I started to change this, and I said, there's going to be a time when we can fix all of this. I'm sure if I work on myself, if I start observing myself, and if I start being more conscious of what I do, if I start being on me, there will be a time that I will receive the same. And this happens. It took 10 years, 10 years. And I said,
But it did. It
but
did. It did. It did.
yeah, yes, now I can talk to them. Now we have very profound conversations that I even said, oh wow, as the I said I had the I reincarnated in this life because I did have another life and now I am another person completely. And I said, in this life, I have made uh, lots of changes, and now I am receiving what I
through the energy and
yeah.
the,
And all the patience I have. Patience is incredible,
it's a
incredible.
virtue. It's a virtue.
Really, wow. Not to react to
Mhm.
all the things they are doing, or people is giving you, no, their trash,
Yeah.
and you said, no, thank you. Oh no, not now, not
But
now. See, yes,
I loved, when you had told me that, my heart burst for you, because that was a tough time in those 10 years. And look, I've had it with one of my kids, didn't speak to me for 4 months. They were still at home, mind you, and still a teenager, but decided to not speak to me. And that was probably one of the most painful things with a child that I ever went through. And yet would walk by me as though I was thin air. And I decided to do kind of what you did, but because they were living at home,
Mhm.
and I just was like, I honored that. I honored that she needed the space to figure out what she needed or he needed. It was like they just needed the space.
Yeah, I can tell.
And
This is the more painful thing I've ever lived, to be separated. This, and I understand you that it was not easy, even that he was there, no? Yes.
Mhm. You can see them, but they don't want to see you. They see you, believe me. They're watching you. They're hearing what you're saying. They're just not responding to it. And there are plenty of situations like that show up, that they're just teaching us.
Yes.
All of this stuff is a lesson to step back. And this is another tool I used to talk about on the show years ago when I did it with Cynthia, God rest her, that I would tell, and I'll tell our listeners now, to stand up, and I'm going to do it. You're going to have to watch me stand up. I'm in my little bike shorts here. Stand up. You're standing up. And I'm going to move forward because I have nowhere to go. Stand up, and then you just take a deep breath, and you take a step back. And you keep taking a step back until you can look at what you're dealing with, like from your mind's eye, at a distance, putting it at a distance, even writing it down on a piece of paper, what it is that you're afraid to look at, or you're angry about. Write it down, and keep stepping away from it so that you can separate yourself from being with it to looking at it from a distance, and keep breathing. Deep breath, exhale. And all of a sudden there's like, oh, it's so small, I can't see it anymore.
Wow. This is
So
a very good exercise.
yeah, I think that, I mean, it works for me. I don't always remember to do it. It's like all these things that I talk about on the show, or I'll mention to friends, or we've had these big conversations, you and I, around health and wellness and around our own well-being. And we'll go, oh yeah, we should do that. Let's write that down. We're both getting ideas from each other. And then we'll be like, what was that? And you can't find the paper, or you're not, it's gone. But it's to write them on sticky notes. This is what I'll do when I'm home. I'll stick them all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, in my own personal space. I go, oh, that's a good idea. Could have used that yesterday. Oh, well.
Yes. And another good thing that I start to do when I was meditating, it was when you feel the emotion, if you get angry with something or someone, very angry, so you just turn around, go to your room, and then leave the anger, leave the anger, and let it grow in your body, like high, high, high. I'm very angry. I'm very angry. So the anger comes up, 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 and then it disappears. When you are just on the top of it, it disappears, and you start to feel like you love yourself. You hug yourself, and you said, I'm not angry anymore. So I don't react with this person.
Mm.
I let the anger out of my body. See,
That's beautiful. Because thank you for saying that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
oh,
That is wonderful. Because I've heard, there are different ways of working with anger. You go into that room. I was waiting for you to say, get so angry, I'll start beating up on the pillow. But to actually feel it in our bodies and where it's starting, and where it's headed, and how it feels. Because as I said, that when the very beginning, I was talking about my mother always trying to make everything nice. And this is nothing I say is against the people I talk about or reference. It is because we're all humans. They were all just trying to get through their stuff, trying to work on their stuff. She was doing what she learned to do, learn behavior. I started doing her learn behavior. And rather than deal with anger, we'll just back away from it and go, we'll just ignore it, or we'll pretend, let's not look at that anger.
yes,
Instead of saying, Dad, it's okay, you can be angry, you had a really hard day,
yes.
and we're going to go over here.
So you get the emotion, even if it's not anger, resentment, or whatever. No, it's not that you feel that fight with the person. It's just the emotion by its own. No, whatever it is. Even you can do it with happiness if you are feeling, oh, I want to.
Woo! I know, that's the best.
Yeah,
That's the best. Joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy. It's
yes,
great to be, and in a perfect world, we'd be happy 100% of the time, but this is an imperfect world, and it's so wonderful we have all these emotions.
yes.
It is wonderful because it makes us grow. It makes us feel deeply, and we connect, and we can empathize with others.
Yes.
It's
course.
just
You are everything. You are all the emotions, the good and the bad. Every person in this world have both of them. So sometimes you are selfish and sometimes you are not. So sometimes you are happy and sometimes you are sad. So
yeah.
let's
Let's feel them all.
Yeah.
Feel them all. Feel them all, and honor. I've had to learn this through coaching, is that at times you'll have a client or somebody, or friend or whatever, who is feeling a big emotion, be it sadness, like overwhelming sadness. And I think before I even really understood it, I would be like, oh, don't be sad. Let's try to have a cup of tea. Let's talk. You be okay now. And that's not what that person needs in that moment. They just need you to be and not fix it. We're not meant to fix other people's stuff.
Yes.
They have to feel it.
And you can just sit beside and keep quiet, and they will feel you are there. They are sad, they have to leave their sadness, as you said. Don't tell them, oh, you are going to be okay. Oh, poor of you. Yes, you are going to be okay.
Well, it's even when somebody loses a family member or a loved one or friend who passes away. And I have been in situations like this where there'll be, somebody will go up, and we're going up to give our condolences and that, and they'll go, well, they had a great life and they were old, and isn't that great? That might not really be right. It's just that I'm so sorry for your loss. So you can feel what they're feeling. It doesn't matter how old they are. That person's not here anymore, physically here.
They will feel the emptiness of not having them.
It's a space that's left open, right?
Mhm.
And so for us to keep trying to fix everything does not work. It certainly in coaching, as you learn also, it's about allowing the client, your friends, whatever, to feel whatever they feel and honor it.
Yes.
Yep, you feel that way. You're right.
And you will be you will live more free,
Mhm.
because you don't get in this box. You won't get all the emotions are stuck there in the box. So you can let them
There's it coming out, coming out.
out.
So one of the things I've done here since being in Ixtapa, I always walk the beach,
Oh, that's great.
and it's the best beach. And walking along the beach, and I found a place on a at the very end of the beach. There's like a pier, I think you would call it, or just a pile of like
Of
a bump,
rocks.
like rocks, right?
Yeah.
Like a bump in the land. And sometimes people crawl up there, sometimes they don't. I did once long ago. And this time it was the first day I did my walk, full walk. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to climb up there. I haven't been up there in a long time. And when I did, there was a giant labyrinth, a prayer path done
Wow.
in rocks. And it's stunning. I will post a photo of it. And I was like, what? I stood there and I stared at it. And I just thought, I'm gonna do this. So I took my shoes off, my sandals off, and I walked it. And when I started it, it was right as the sun was rising. And said, and I don't necessarily do the ohms or anything like that. I'll say a prayer. I'll say a prayer, and then I start to walk the path, and I walk it in gratitude, in love. And then I had read a book a while ago that said, it says, love yourself, just love yourself, love yourself. And I started saying, I love myself, I love myself. But then I struggle with I love myself, and I love Jesus, I love God, and then I love myself, I love, and then I would work through that, because I think that I was always mindful not to put myself first or to override God but when you realize that that's a part of us,
Yes.
that we are a part of that, and to love myself is loving everything about God, about Jesus, about the world we're in, about the people we're surrounded with, about everything. And things in my life change when I do that, when I consciously say I love myself, and I'm grateful for myself, because I am a gift. I'm a gift from God.
And you were there in this beautiful place, listening to the ocean, and
Right. I have to memorize this.
Yes. Oh,
Right.
that's beautiful, Maureen. Yes.
So yeah, no, it's so cool when we get to that love. Just
I want
love.
to do this every day.
I know. I know. I do too. And yet we could do it every day, even in a dark room. You could be in a jail cell and do it. People do.
Yeah.
You get to you work, and sometimes we can be in a beautiful place and feel like we're in a jail cell. We can feel like we're closed down, but it's about doing the work.
I think that if you make the habit to meditate every day, this will bring you lots of peace.
It does.
If you start your day like this, even 5 minutes, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I love it. I do it. I think we talked about this before. It's just I have my little ritual in the morning. I get up, I do my meditation, I do my prayers, I write out my goals, and I keep writing them out because they're always changing. So I don't know, but and then I write out what I want to do for the day. And I do this very early in the morning. I start at 4:30 in the morning. And then sometimes and then I just sit with my cup of tea and just sit in gratitude. And I forgive myself also. I believe forgiveness comes first.
Yes.
You have to forgive before you can be grateful for what you need to forgive yourself for, because it shows up because.
Yes. Oh,
We
that's a
needed it.
very good habit you have.
Well, I've been really on it since the beginning of the year. I started it really in August to really be, and I'll do this. I'm just making sure everybody, my listeners hear me. I've done this on and off throughout the last 20 years of my life, on and off, doing something like this. And it's never stuck as long as I've done it now.
Yeah,
And there are huge changes for me personally and for how I affect others.
this is great. This is great.
So,
Well, talking to you is like, oh, I feel so good when I talk to you. You are like,
back at you. What are you
yeah,
talking about? Back at you.
yeah,
Well, that's what we're here for, is, on the planet, in this world at this time, wearing these skin jackets
yeah.
to bang into each other and love each other and make it a good world. And if there are people you don't want to be around, you're just not around them. You make that choice.
Yes. And you are the people that it's near you, you are here to make them better persons too.
And they make me
As,
better persons. Yeah.
yeah, as you are
Person.
with your own self, but the others that are near you, you are here to help them to be better persons too.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. There's
Mhm.
never, it's like those children, the children,
Oh, well,
um, you know,
yes,
they're here to make me, they're filling me up. I'm trying to fill them up, but it's like, yeah, it's just a big two-way street of energy, of love.
yes,
So,
that's what it is. It's a loving program. Yes.
yes, a loving program. So, before we go, I just wanted to put out there to the listeners that I will, in our talking points on the description of the show, I will have how you can reach out to Lourdes. And if you have any questions, you want to drain her brain, she's wonderful. You also have, if you could just say a little bit, a moment or two about your business.
Well, I have a little business that I make toffee. I did study for a pastry chef, and I make toffee, and I make keto pastries too. Now I am in that, so I am starting to make it for diabetics, so
Wow.
they can have a cake or a donut,
Yeah.
cookie, or
Wow. I think I'm going to throw out there, maybe we'll do a show where we'll have you do a teaching show on how people and can possibly help, you'll help others to be able to, because I know as diabetics, it's so hard to
it's so
not
hard, and
enjoy.
they
Yeah.
love to have desserts. And I have been in these courses with the chef Vanessa Musi. She's a very good chef, she's a recipe developer, and she is very good. So I have learned from her, and now I'm delighting other diabetics to have their cakes.
And eat it. As they say in the United States, they're going to have their cake and eat it too.
Yes,
So
they
they get
can
to have their
do it.
cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
They don't have to just look at it.
and their blood sugar stays just
Oh gosh, this
the-
is a great conversation to have. And yeah,
it's very
that's perfect.
so I make toffee, and I love to make toffee. There's a lot of
I love to eat it. It's
yeah,
very good.
there's a lot of people that loves it, and it has been growing my business step by step, but I am happy to have it. It has been a whole way to make it.
Well, it was part of also your process, your healing process. It's all a part of how
Yeah.
you now show up in the plan, the new you.
Yeah, this is
You.
my new me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to take a quick moment to close out, and then we'll just, so for everyone, if you could just close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and exhale. And know that you are so valuable. You need to take care of you. And you are not alone here on the Family Balancing Act.